Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and it has been a long day. Yeah, last night, super late, well not that late, but felt like it was late. I drove back from Utah yesterday, very northern Utah, and it was like 11, 12 hours in the car, and I drove the whole way straight, and got home, and edited some videos that I needed to edit, then crashed, and then today I've been lagging because I've spent all day yesterday in the car and I'm feeling it. Anyway, busy day today, just with family stuff and all that, and then I've got some packages to open. So I'm going to start with this one. This is, as you can tell from LeftyEDC, Kevin is one of my best friends, and he sent this to me right before I left on my trip. I had him send it to my P.O. box in case it got here while I was gone, and it did. So it was here today when I went to the post office, and I'm excited for this. I know that there is a fidget spinner in here for my daughter from Liang Ma, and that he had sent to Kevin for his giveaway. He sent him some extras, so Kevin sent one for me to give to my daughter, which is sweet of him. And then there's also a Medford in here, and Kevin has even stayed up late tonight in anticipation of me opening this package, because I can be a little bit critical of Medford. I don't love Medford knives based on the one that I've experienced so far. The one that I have experienced has been Kyle's, actually. Kevin and I are both friends with Kyle, very much so. He is one of the three amigos. And Kyle, a long time ago now, loaned me his 187 DP. Man, this is a lot of tape on here. I'm using this Mini Adamas that was loaned to me on my trip, actually, by EDC Gear Reviews, Tyler, who was just recently on my podcast, and we did a little swap. Loaned him my 8020. Anyway, so Kyle had loaned me his 187 DP, and I hated it. It's one of my least favorite knives that I've ever reviewed. If there's a knife that's not for me, that's it. It's just bad, in my opinion. I really, really didn't like it. And it's been funny over time to see certain people come to the defense of that knife. I just objectively, man, this is not working. I really don't like it. That Medford I thought was bad. I hated a lot about it. You can watch that video if you want to see specifics of why, but that's just the truth. Really didn't like that knife. And a lot of people since that video have told me that I should check out some other Medford models that don't suffer from a lot of the things that I hated about that knife. And I hated it. It's just, I really, really didn't like that knife. So Kevin has been wanting to try a Medford, and he recently got, oh shoot, what are these called? He just got a second one, which is hilarious. The Slim Midi, that's what it's called. So there's one of those in here for me to check out. He has been insistent that I take a look at this knife and see what it's all about. So first things first, let's show the fidget spinner real quick. Apparently Liang Ma makes or designs fidget spinners. So a little titanium anodized fidget spinner. Let's see. You would think, with me being a fidgety kind of guy with my knives, that I might kind of be into this. I mean, this is cool for what it is. But this is for my daughter. I don't personally, it's not like I'm going to be carrying something like this around, but she is going to love this thing. This is super cool. And it's titanium. It's super nice. So, I mean, really cool. Very well made. But just a little gift for the kiddo. So that's super nice of him. He even put a note to my daughter saying he hopes she enjoys the spinner from Lefty. So Uncle Kev sent a gift for the little one. All right, so this is probably more what you guys want to see is the Medford. It's funny, I just sent the Norseman back to Sean, Geared Toward Gear, and it's now strikingly clear that this is the exact same case. This is exactly what Grimsmo uses for their knives, so that's interesting. It's got a dog tag on here. Warranted forever in new or used original condition. So it can't be modified, I guess is what that means, but it can be used. That's what the dog tag says. So I'm not gonna spend time commenting on Greg Medford. I don't have anything personally against the guy. I know he can be really polarizing, especially because he gets very political. Some people hate that, other people love it. I know, like for Kev, he has said that he likes that about Greg, and that's part of why he wants his knives and likes his knives. I don't really care. My impression of Medford knives in general is the 187 DP that I carried and tried to use for review and hated. So it's not that I'm determined to hate every knife that Medford makes. I could very well think that this is nice, and I'm going to do my absolute best to be objective. But there's this thing that happens with me where when I share an opinion about a knife or anything in general, and people get combative from the other side and try to explain in a comment section why I'm wrong for having an opinion about something, I tend naturally, as I think many people do, to want to dig my heels in. And so, like, good example, I've also been harsh on Chris Reeve knives when I did the carry challenge with the Sebenza. Sorry, I'll get this out while I do this. And because some people were so adamant that I was an idiot for not liking that knife, which I don't like, it makes me less likely to like any other Chris Reeve model, because those fanboys who just can't get enough of it tarnish the whole thing for me. So when people defend the 187 DP and act like I'm an idiot for not liking it, it makes me dislike all of Medford knives a little bit in my head. I know that's unfair and that's irrational, so I'm going to do my best to strip that away and just look at this knife for what it is. So keep all of that in mind. If you like Medford, more power to you. I'm not trying to say that you're not allowed to like Medford. You can even like the 187 DP. But as soon as you start saying that I'm wrong for disliking it, I don't know. You've lost me there. So a few things in here. There's like a little pamphlet looking thing. There's a patch, it looks like, and a sticker in here. Just a couple of little odds and ends. And then a certificate of authenticity, which I'll say, this certificate of authenticity is about as certificate-like as I've ever seen come with a knife. It's got the little seal on it, some ink signatures and everything. Looks like this one was made in March 2021. Kevin had this one made there by them. He ordered it straight from Medford. So, all right, that's what comes in the box. Close that up. And this is wrapped in some bubble wrap. All right, here's the knife. The Slim Midi. Now, I will say it lives up to the name right off the bat of being slim. I like that. One of the things I hated about the 187 DP or whatever it was called was that it was not slim at all. It was big in just about every dimension, and it was blocky. It was brick-like, and I'll leave that out of it. I don't mean to keep going down that path. But yeah, this is much slimmer, much smaller overall. This is still a decent sized knife. Even before opening it, I can tell that this is not a small knife objectively, but it is thin and it's not huge. It's not grossly oversized for no reason. It's got these fullers on both sides, so it looks like you could thumb flick it, or what I'm going to try right now is middle finger flick it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the middle finger flick is really nice. Let's see how it is on closure. Not like drop shutty, but it's smooth. Yeah, the middle finger flick is good. That works. Okay, so that's 1 point for sure. The handle is super neutral. That's a good thing as well. You got a choil you can choke up. That's comfortable. Yeah, I mean, this thing right off the bat is leaps and bounds ahead of the other Medford that I have checked out. It has an S up here. I think that means S90V on these. I'm not positive because Medford doesn't put like the whole steel. They just put like an S, or I think for the ones in 3V, it's just like a 3 or something. I don't know. They do interesting things in that way, but Maker's Mark, you got an S. This one says 101-033. A couple things I think are a little weird about this knife. Not necessarily going to hold them against it at this point. I want to see how I end up feeling about them over time with it in my pocket and stuff. But if you look at this, the detent track is like way exposed, which is a little funky. And then also you get the like face of the lock sits right up kind of above the edge of the scale. And so the geometry to me just seems a little weird. This pivot is super far forward in relation to where the scale actually ends. And so because they didn't put just a little more scale here, you've got like the part of the tang where it's locking up, that lock face is sitting just proud of the scales. And then you've got this little snaggle tooth here because that's where the external blade stops lock in on the frame. So just an interesting, like, I don't know, having the detent hole and detent path so exposed is unique, I'll say. I don't love that aesthetically. It bothers me a little bit that components that are typically internal are made external on this one. But again, I could just find that ends up not bothering me at all, which would be fine too. See how it thumb flicks. Yeah, it'll work. These fullers are effective, and I will take them, frankly, over thumb studs. I don't think with these... you can use those external blade stops, actually, to thumb deploy it. That works quite well. I didn't think that would. So you've got essentially what functions as a thumb stud, and then you've got the fuller to middle finger flick. And one thing Kev keeps talking about is how it's actually satisfying to slow roll this knife out with the fuller. It's funny, I literally just today, because I purchased this morning the Swish Bowie, the Knife Joy exclusive one that just came out, I rewatched my old review of the original Swish Bowie, and I made a comment in that video about how I don't like slow rolling knives, but maybe I will when I'm 80, I think are the words that I used. It's just not an opening method for me. I don't find myself ever doing it. But if you like it, this one will do it, so that's good. This blade is interesting too. So it's a hollow grind. It's actually pretty thin behind the edge. I imagine this will slice pretty well. It's not an insane blade stock. It's pretty average there. But yeah, this hollow grind, it's an interesting choice to me because this blade is really quite tall, right? But you've got such a, it's only like 50% of the blade, maybe not even quite that, is ground. And so it's, I don't know, I tend to prefer really tall grinds. I always think the more height on the grind, the better, because that makes knives slicier. Geometrically, I think it's superior. But I'm open to finding out that this works just as well. That's a conclusion that I may come to. We'll see. But the blade does look pretty good. The fuller, I think, does look pretty good. I like the Tanto. I feel like that suits this knife. And you've got this secondary tip down here, which you can almost kind of use like a Warncliffe tip, which I imagine I'll like. So yeah, this knife has some things going for it, for sure. And I can get why Kevin is like, dude, you're going to like this, because this is way more my speed than the 187. Like, not even comparable, right? So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm intrigued to see what is going to happen here. Another thing that's interesting now that I'm just looking at this. So, proprietary pivot screw. I imagine you could use a spanner bit in there. I may even have one that fits it, but it's not just a Torx or an Allen or anything like that. Speaking of Torx and Allen, what's weird is that all of these body screws are Torx, but then these clip screws are Allen, or like hex screws. So it's just weird that only the clip would get not Torx when everything else did. But okay. No internal milling. does have the number etched in there, just like it does on here, that 101-033. Interesting stuff. All right, I'm gonna keep nerding out about this and figuring it out, and then I'll be doing a first impression soon and ultimately a full review. But yeah, the action. Oh, I got my finger in the way. The action is pretty good. The size and ergos and weight are all pretty good seemingly. So this may end up being quite nice. I don't hate it. And that's a good start for a Medford. Anyway, thanks guys for checking it out with me. Thanks Kevin, LeftyEDC, for loaning it to me. As always, when I get something from Kevin, I will link his channel down below. So you'll find LeftyEDC. I'll link his YouTube and his Instagram. You can find him in either of those places. And he's one of the best. So check him out if you haven't. This is the Medford Slim Midi. And also the Yangma fidget spinner for my little one. So thanks Kev. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.